You went somewhere using public school freshman year. They saw the growth spurt, like you got to come through.
So I was at a tournament in Seton Hall, and I was playing for my AAU team, the Roadrunners, and my AAU coach, short white dude, reminds you of Ronald McDonald because he wore red hair. And I'll never forget when he first came to my house to take me on to a tournament in D.C. When he walked in my house and when he left, my mother was like, "You're not going nowhere with him."
Sandy Payanen has been one of New Jersey's basketball's best-kept secrets for over 5 decades. Through his AAU basketball club, the NJ Roadrunners, he has won 3 national championships, sent over 300 kids to D1 college programs, and most notably, has sent over 30 players to the NBA. But being a Jewish man, standing at about 5'10", very skinny, with blonde curly hair, he looks more like a retired surfer than a legendary basketball mind. Growing up in Elizabeth, New Jersey in the 60s and 70s, you'll be surprised to find out that he didn't actually play basketball in high school after being cut his sophomore and junior years, and instead played lacrosse and soccer at local Keene University. Sandy recalls a time in the 6th grade when he got kicked out the gym because he couldn't reach the basket and was told to try baseball instead. Now just imagine if Sandy would have picked up baseball and wasn't around to train guys like Kyrie Irving. The negative feedback didn't deter Sandy though. It only made him train harder, as he would practice 10 hours a day on his backyard hoop and studying games on TV. He served as player coach on teams with his friends and taught the game to himself until he received coaching offers at just age 19. When he graduated, unsure about what he wanted to do with his life, Sandy often wandered into the stands of the local Y and watched St. Patrick's High School practice before they were a national powerhouse. At the request of St. Pat's coach, Bob Leonard, Sandy eventually started handling individual workouts with some of the school's JV players. After seeing the immediate success of his teams, he eventually birthed the Roadrunners. Now this was before all the sponsored tournaments and national attention. This is when AAU ball was just about 2 things: fundamentals and conditioning. Word of Sandy and his legendary workouts quickly spread around Jersey.
Because I knew he loved the game when I was at the gym and Kyrie comes in 2 hours before, right? He comes in 2 hours before, just stretching stuff. So he decides to play the little kid, right? Little kid is shooting. He's like, oh, let's play one-on-one full court. Right. He's playing this little kid full court one-on-one for 2 hours. Shaking him.
Right.
Like it wasn't even fair. He's like literally trying to make the kid fall every time down court, hitting him with, and I'm just watching him like, yo, he's going full blast at this little kid 2 hours straight. Yo, this kid just loves basketball.
So the guy that I told you that looked like Ronald McDonald, he trained Kyrie too. He taught Kyrie a lot of his stuff. And that's how we got better. That's how we used to get better. Like, we never played like 5-on-5. We played 1-on-1 full court because it gave you the whole court and it gave you the whole court to be creative. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I had what I had, was because of those. It's almost like a drill. And the reason why I probably took 2 hours, because Kyrie might have played them to 100 by ones.
Yes.
We would play full court games where every basket was worth 1 point to 100. No fouls. You have to play a physical game. I used to tell guys, if you're not in top condition, you can't play for me. They got in shape quickly. The first thing you notice when you walk into the tiny nondescript gym nestled between office parks and strip malls off exit 140 of the Garden State Parkway in Union, New Jersey, is that there are no fancy scoreboards, no advertisements on the walls, not even a new set of nets or rims. Just 4 baskets, a warm floor, and a guy who resembled Ronald McDonald. Randy Foye trained here before he starred for Villanova and was drafted 7th overall in 2006 by the Celtics. Al Harrington was modeled into the #1 high school player here.
So let's go back to 98. You're National Player of the Year. You know, you're wearing your options. You decide to put your name into the draft. What were the factors that led to that decision?
Well, me and my AAU coach, his name is Sandy Payanen. When we sat down going into my senior year, I was probably top 20.
Okay.
And I was just like, Sandy, like, what do I have to do to be the #1 player in the country? And he was like, these are the different things. And one of the things he said that we had to do, I had to make 2,000 jump shots a day. Not take, I had to make, right? And we did that for 3 weeks, every day, 7 days a week. Shoot 1,000 in the morning, make 1,000 in the morning, 1,000 at night. And that helped my jump shot. And at that point, I had to make a decision. I was gonna go to ABCD, and it was only gonna be me and Rashard Lewis there. But Nike had everybody, Jerron Rush, Coleon Young, Corey Maggette, Quentin Richardson, all the top dogs went to Nike. So this is the first riff we had, because he wanted me to go to Adidas because it was in Jersey, so he could kind of watch, what he helped develop.
You were an Adidas guy at that point?
I was an Adidas guy,
okay.
right? But I went to Nike because that's where everybody was at. So I went up there and won MVP of the camp, essentially, right? So when I come back, Sandy was a little upset, and I was like, Sandy, I'm the #1 player in the country. I was like, I want to go pro now. So we need to sharpen the skills so I can go pro. And he was like, no, I don't think you need to go pro. He was like, you ain't been playing long enough. He was like, you need to go to college and develop a little bit longer, and then you'll have a better pro career. That's what he's telling me, right? And I'm just like, nah. And I'm like, all right, whatever.
NBA veteran Dante Jones used to commute 2.5 hours every day from Hamilton, New Jersey to play here. Jay Williams, a Plainfield product, will go on to star at Duke and eventually drafted #2 to the Bulls in 2002. Spent his summers here. Bobby Hurley made his name on this court before he became a star at Duke. Hurley played more games for this coach than he did his legendary father. While maintaining his reputation as a legendary hoops guru, Sandy still finds time to maintain a relatively normal life. Sandy is a gym teacher at the Golden Oak Academy, a pre-K through 12 small Hebrew day school in West Orange, New Jersey. He also coaches varsity basketball at Golden Oak, where his team has won 2 state championships, despite being only able to practice 1 day a week because of religious obligations. Sandy doesn't have a cell phone and only answers his home phone after 10 p.m. He has a fiance, although he's never been married, and a sister. Unlike many of Pioneer's players, Kyrie did not come from an impoverished background. His father, Dredrick, was a former standout college player at the University of Boston and also played overseas in Australia, where Kyrie was born. He trained Kyrie ever since he was young, teaching him the fundamentals of basketball.
All right, so we had just moved from Newark, New Jersey to West Orange. Moved into this nice house.
How old are you?
I was 3rd grade. First time being in our own crib, my dad was hyped. I mean, first time owning a home, you know what I mean? We moved in, we got the court outside. He just put the directions on the floor. And I'm just picking up the basketball, like going back and forth, doing what I'm used to be doing. I'm like, yo, all right, Dad, when's the rim gonna be up? When's the hoop gonna be
When the real stuff about to pop off.
He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, nah, when you gonna put up the hoop? He's like, no, when are we gonna put up the hoop? Directions on the floor, it's bolts, all his screws everywhere. He got the toolbox out. The rim is just the base. He's like, we're gonna put this up and we're gonna do this together. And I'm gonna show you how to put something together from the ground up. And you may not understand right now, you may not realize what you're doing now, but this is gonna matter for you because details, don't miss out on the details. Really enjoy putting something together that you can work with, you know what I mean? So I literally was handcrafting with him and put the net up, and then once the net went up, it was on.
Irving was not a highly touted player coming into high school. He attended Montclair Kimberly Academy, a school known more for its Ivy League acceptance rate than its basketball program. Dredrick sent Kyrie to train with Sandy during his freshman year, and according to him, he didn't even know anything about Sandy's legendary reputation or anything like that. In Dredrick's own words, Sandy was just the most organized of all the AAU coaches. Plus, he picked Kyrie up every day, which was a bonus. According to Kyrie, when he first met Sandy, he just noticed he had a lot of energy. The first time I met him, he was running around all over the place. The two would go on to work out daily for months, doing everything from dribbling workouts to 6-on-1 games. For Dredrick, it was a perfect match. When you put together Kyrie's work ethic with Sandy's passion, that's when you create something special. When you watch pioneering coaches players on a basketball court, you'll realize everything is important. every inch, every dribble, every moment has a purpose. And with the proper guidance, every player can improve. Sandy stresses the conditioning. He always wants you to play hard, play smart, and play as a team. If guys didn't focus, they gotta run laps. By his junior year, Kyrie had transferred to St. Patrick's. His national profile had skyrocketed, and many local AAU teams were in pursuit of the wizard from West Orange. But all along, Kyrie stayed loyal to Sandy. Edgar Jones, Sandy's first NBA prospect, explains it like this. At the end of the day, Sandy is a teacher, not a coach. He doesn't have to worry about doing conventional things with players to satisfy someone else. He gave up his time and money for us. That's why we all trust him so much. Sandy is the self-proclaimed best trainer in the world and thrives on the challenge of working with players who may not be headed for the pros. Give me a guy who isn't a superstar, he said. Let's get in the gym and really work for a few months, and I guarantee he'll be able to compete with the best. After all these years, the passionate coach still has fire in his belly. I know the grass is greener in other places, but I don't care. I want my guys to play like somebody's trying to take food off their table. That's how they make it.
Words going out in the community, with the Jewish community, we can't have this negativity. People could get hurt. People could die. And there's no excuse for what he did. He's a bright kid. He should have read up in what he was promoting.
But he was a godsend because he taught me everything about the game. He taught me like, again, that's how I learned how to play basketball, was in that one-on-one court, full court drill, and Kyrie came up under the same guy. So that's funny that you say that. That was our drill.
Talk about the move. I know you work on this all the time. Behind the back with the left, you slap the defender's hand down, and then just talk about chest up, eyes up too. Yeah, chest up, eyes up. You've been preaching that to Jewel Lloyd. I remember the last time you preached that to her.
Yeah.
So how can players learn from that, having your chest up and eyes up too?
Man, it's, if I told you, or if I showed you guys the gym that I was working out in when I was 15, 16 years old, you guys would be in for something. My AU coach was a hard-nosed, tough teacher, so a lot of the skills that we worked on were kind of out of the ordinary or uncomfortable for me. And he always used to challenge me to keep my head up while dribbling and moving at a fast pace. Not a lot of people can go from A to B and make 5 moves while they're running. So I think that's something that separates me from a lot of different guards in the league, where if you get me in a fast break, I feel like if you're backpedaling, I have the advantage, and some of the moves just come out of the creative air. So it feels good that I was able to finish it, but I knew that it was a bigger play than just the highlight. It was more or less a momentum shift, and we went 12 on that play, so it felt good.
Who's the AAU coach that you know?
Sandy Paone, New Jersey Roadrunners. Yeah.